Hey, what's up guys? My name is Javier and welcome back to Tool Craze. Over the years, many portable power tools have gone cordless. We now have almost all power tools with cordless battery powered options. And DeWalt just came out with a brand new cordless miter saw in a time when most miter saws are typically corded. The miter saw we're going to take a look at today is the DCS361 20V max 7¼ inch single bevel miter saw. While this is DeWalt's first cordless miter saw, it's not the first cordless miter saw to the market. Other cordless miter saws available today are from brands such as Craftsman, Ryobi, Bosch, Metabo, Makita, and even Milwaukee over at the UK. So this isn't the first cordless miter saw to the market, but because it's a DeWalt, it'll probably be the most widely available. And just like the rest of those cordless miter saws, this model uses a 7¼ inch blade, which is something you don't see too often on cordless circular saws. Normally on handheld saws like circular saws, you typically get anywhere from a 5 to a 6 inch blade. And it's nice to see that this miter saw comes with a full-size circular saw blade. And the great thing about 7¼ inch blades is that they're very common and they're much easier to find than smaller blades. Although this miter saw isn't a full-size miter saw with a 12-inch blade or even the slightly smaller 10-inch blade, you have to remember that this cordless machine is powered by a 20V battery, which is the same thing as 18 volts. This saw has more than enough power for typical trim projects, and it cuts right through MDF molding like a hot knife through butter. It also has an impressive amount of power for a cordless 18V miter saw and can cross-cut lumber very easily. I tried it out on several pieces of regular 2x4 lumber to demonstrate its performance, and it cuts them at a very good pace. It can easily cut regular 2x4s in one pass, and because it's a sliding saw, it has a horizontal cut capacity of up to 8 inches at 90 degrees. This will allow you to cut boards or lumber up to 8 inches. Here we can see that it can easily cut extra wide laminate flooring in one pass without the need to flip the board over. The only downside about cutting such large boards is that you can't cut the same size board at an angle. For example, at 45 degrees, you can only cut so much in one pass, but not the whole board. So it's something to consider when factoring what you'll be using this saw for. And here's a pressure treated 2x8 to demonstrate its large horizontal cut capacity and its performance. Although it can't cut the board completely, here we can see where its 18V battery power maxes out, as you have to take it slow to make the cut. I thought it has excellent performance for a cordless miter saw. It was able to cut through MDF molding, regular 2x4 lumber, and even pressure treated lumber. Just about everything I'd use if I was installing trim or doing framing. And I also got to test out its battery runtime endurance. So DeWalt claims you can get up to 275 cuts into 3¼ inch pine molding using the included 4.0 amp hour battery. I don't have any pine molding, so I tested this saw using 2x4 lumber. They even claim you can get up to 183 cuts into 2x4 lumber. So after I made cut after cut after cut into 2x4 lumber, I got a total of 165 cuts before the 4.0 battery ran out of juice. It's not 183 cuts, but still very close to the stated runtime. That's a lot of cuts with one battery. And with that kind of performance, on the jobs that I've done in the past, I can get away with using one battery for the entire day, installing laminate flooring and the trim that goes along with it. Now let's take a closer look at its features to see what this saw has going on for it. On top of its great performance for a cordless 18V miter saw, this miter saw also features DeWalt's famous XPS lighting system. It works sort of like a laser, but instead of casting a laser on the workpiece, it uses an LED light at the front of the blade to light up the workpiece, and it casts a thin shadow representing where the blade will cut. You can't really see the shadow until the blade is nearly touching the workpiece. The great thing about this XPS light system is that it also takes into account the thickness of the blade and its correct position all the time without having to make any adjustments, like you would have to do with a laser. I found this to be very useful. My only gripe is that I would like it if the shadow could be clearly seen when the blade is further away. And it's not very useful when used outside on a bright sunny day. Compared to most miter saws on the market, it's considerably smaller and lighter. I would say its weight is a huge feature, as it's very easy to transport at only 31.4 pounds. And you also have several handles available to transport this little guy. It has large, easy to grip handles built into the sides of the base, making it easy to grip with both hands or even carry around one-handed to your side. And like DeWalt's other miter saws, it has a large handle on top of the motor mount, which you can also use to carry this saw if needed. I already told you it's a sliding saw, and you can also lock the sliding feature in place if you don't need the full sliding range. Locking the slider is great for making repetitive cuts into short materials. And just like all DeWalt miter saws, they went with a beefed up rugged metal base with machined surfaces on top of the base and on the front of the fences. One of my favorite features of DeWalt miter saws are that they use a cam lock locking handle, making it very easy to switch miter angles. Instead of having to twist the knob to lock and unlock like on other miter saws, all you do is lift up on the handle to unlock, press the button in front of the handle so you can move the base freely to choose your angle, and push down on the handle to lock an angle into place. Cutting miter angles is easy with this saw, as it takes out all of the guesswork when choosing angles with its easy to use miter detents. Just slide the handle over and it locks into place with each miter detent. It has detents with all the popular angles such as 45 degrees, 31.6, 22.5, 15, 10, and 0 degrees for that 90-degree angle for square cuts. And you get the same miter angle detents for both the left side and the right side. This saw isn't a dual bevel saw, so it can only bevel cuts to the left side. It has a bevel lock knob on the back to make adjustments if you want to make bevel cuts, and it has a large easy to read bevel gauge just below the sliding arms. Out of the box, the accuracy of the miter and the bevel angle is very good. Not exactly perfect out of the box, but very close. Here I cut 4 pieces into some molding to make a square frame using 45-degree angles, and the fit was very good. Not perfectly perfect, but very close. Nothing a little bit of caulking could have fixed if it was to be installed and then painted. If you ever want to adjust the accuracy of the saw, you can, as everything is adjustable, and it even includes a wrench on the back right of the base to make all the necessary adjustments for the miter detent plate up in front to the bevel gauge in the back. You can even adjust where the bevel angles stop at 0 and 45 degrees by adjusting the bevel angle stop plate and the height screw. And while you can cut boards up to 8 inches wide at 90 degrees, this saw isn't designed to cut tall items. That's one of the limitations of the smaller 7 1/4 inch blade, as it maxes out at 3.5 inches of vertical cut capacity for items standing up. With this saw you can get away with many trim jobs as long as the boards aren't very tall. If they're taller than 3.5 inches, you can still cut them, but only as long as they lay flat when you cut them. My last DeWalt miter saw, the DW716, didn't come with any accessories such as extensions or a clamp, which comes standard with most miter saws. But it is nice to see that this time around they did include a much needed clamp as part of the package. It's not their best clamp, but it does get the job done, and I like that it can be used on both sides of the base. Although they did include a clamp, they didn't include any extensions to support long workpieces. They probably expected you to use the extensions on a miter saw stand, but I feel they should have at least included them standard. So my final thoughts on this saw is that it's an excellent saw overall for a battery-powered miter saw. It's got loads of power for framing and trim projects, not the kind of power you'd expect from a 13 or 15 amp miter saw, but excellent power overall for a battery-powered miter saw. Would this replace a full-size miter saw? Definitely not a full-featured 12-inch sliding miter saw, as its cutting height capacity is limited to shorter molding, especially crown molding. But remember, you can cut taller boards up to 8 inches tall, but only when lying flat and not standing up. So if you need a miter saw that's compact, low weight, and would love to ditch being tethered to a cord, then this saw might just be the miter saw for you. And before I almost forget, you can get this miter saw as a bare tool for $320 and as a kit for $400, which includes a 4.0 amp hour battery and the DCB112 charger. This charger isn't their best charger, as it's not as fully featured as the DCB101 charger. And it isn't as fast at charging batteries, as it'll charge the included battery in 2 hours instead of 1 hour and 10 minutes with the DCB101 charger. While not exactly inexpensive, as you can get a very nice miter saw for $300 and $400, I think this is an extremely good deal for what you get. The only other miter saw on the market here in the US that comes similar to this one would have to be the Makita 18-volt cordless miter saw. And if you put the two side by side, they're both very similar when it comes to features and specifications. But there's one huge difference. The Makita is well over $500, and that's just for the miter saw alone, with no battery or a charger. And it's well over $700 if you want it as a kit with a battery and a charger. So when it comes to price, the DeWalt is a huge value. The next biggest difference between this and the Makita would have to be the horizontal cut capacity, as the Makita has a much larger horizontal cut capacity, as it can cut a 2x12 at 90 degrees, as opposed to the max 2x8 capacity on this saw. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out the DCS361 DeWalt 20 volt max cordless miter saw. Let me know what you guys think of this saw in the comment section below, and make sure to like this video, subscribe, follow me on social media over at Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and on the web at www.toolcraze.net for more tool reviews and tool news. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.